Hello there. Hello there, everyone. Hello, SOGers. How's
Hey
everybody
guys,
doing?
what's going on? What did you what's the plan for today? Is anything happen?
I don't know.
I just
Has anything happened? It's Valentine's Day. My
I
lonely
don't,
heart is my lonely heart is just by myself. So
we talking Spider-Man Blue? We talking Batman Catwoman?
no, of course. There was a big thing that dropped today. Something a lot of people have been waiting for. Uh, I'm not going to go into the whole backstory. Everyone knows the story if you're watching. Today was the first official trailer for Zack Snyder's Justice League, and it was released at noon, right, guys?
I
Right.
believe it was noon. Well, there's only I'm the only one here, guys.
Oh, that's right. I'm sorry.
What? Wait, did you forget something?
Let me bring some people in. Let me bring some people in. So I will start with Mr. Josh.
There
Josh
he is.
this.
Hey there, guys.
Hello, Josh.
How you doing, Josh?
How are you, brother?
I'm good. Sorry.
All right. So let me bring in the Carusos. Hello there,
gentlemen. Happy Valentine's Day.
Yes, to you as well.
I'm happy I can spend it with you guys.
Us too.
Of course.
The other third of the vigilantes, of course.
What is he looking?
What are you doing?
Hey,
What's up? Trying to hide his date. That's why.
happy Valentine's Day. I love you all.
Happy Valentine's Day. And of course, we had to have some Canadian love up in here as well.
Yeah,
So
man.
let's bring in Carlos from the Nerds.
There he is.
Carlo.
Oh,
What's going
there,
on,
sir.
gents?
Hey, Carlos.
Look at me and all my lonely peeps. Here we are. Bunch of romantics that we are.
Yeah.
Oh,
Here we go.
I mean,
The
I
Lonely
think
Hearts
the
Club.
only
I ain't
stud
lonely
muffin here is
anymore.
Zednik.
I ain't lonely anymore. Let's get
Oh, belly.
it.
So yeah, guys, as Pete and I were throwing out there in the beginning, we all know why we're here. Today was the release of Zack Snyder's Justice League first official trailer. I've seen mixed reviews. Well, that's what I've seen on Twitter. I don't know if you guys have seen the same things, but I've seen some mixed reviews on Twitter. I will say this: he's really the one thing he does well is visuals, and this has a lot of that. And the trailer was loaded with that.
Mhm.
Just really good shots. So I give that part of the trailer I really enjoyed. But overall, to me, because I'm really not anticipating it like you guys are, it was just kind of like okay, more of the same, more of what I expected until the last 5 seconds, but we'll get to that later. We'll talk about that part later. So just really quick, go around the room. Pete, I'll start with you.
Man, to be brutally honest, this thing didn't even do nothing for me. Like I don't know what it was. I don't know if I've just moved on a lot from where we were at one point. I mean, it's just like I feel like after the theatrical cut, I've just kind of cut my ties and was moved on. So, I'm not one who really fought for this thing, so I'm kind of indifferent. And I was kind of surprised. Like I was like, did I hype myself up too much for this? Am I just not feeling it? Like what's going on? But I'm happy that it looks like a sequel to BVS. I thought there were definitely a lot of cool shots in it. Some parts I felt like there were a lot of graphics that could have been rendered out a bit more, but it looks cool. I'll check it out on the 18th and I'll see what's up. But like, I'm just kind of like, okay, like, all right, I'm waiting. I'm just waiting for it. So, what about you, Josh?
Yeah, so I'm kind of with you, Pete and Eric. I thought the visuals are absolutely stunning. Obviously, I would expect no less from Mr. Zack Snyder. They are just terrific. That being said, I think that the other thing that I like about it as well is that it looks like a different movie. This is definitely not going to be a rehash of the theatrical version of Justice League that came out. This is going to be a whole new experience, and I think that's really good. I'm also loving the continuity between between Man of Steel, Batman versus Superman, and now Justice League. It looks like one cohesive story with the same vision from the same director. So those are the things that I really like about it. What I don't like about it is frankly, some of the reaction on Twitter and some of the interaction with this film. I'm on a couple of DC fans Facebook groups, and they act like Justice League, the 2017 theatrical version of Justice League, is like the worst movie that's ever been made. And I grew up in the 1990s, and early 2000s. I was in high school, and I'm like, guys, I don't know if you missed that period of DC, but like Justice League is not the worst movie that's ever come out ever. Like it tells a coherent story. Obviously it has its issues. We have the weird Henry Cavill mouth, but honestly, I really just wish that we could all come together and be united in this in the enjoyment of this movie, and not be making stupid enemies lists, and not be talking about how crappy the other version of Justice League is. If you don't like it, just ignore it. You're getting probably the very best version of Justice League that you could ever get.
It's not Punisher Warzone, that's for sure.
No, exactly.
That's a rough one.
Exactly. So there are worse movies out there than the original Justice League. So, but I'm really happy for the Zack Snyder fandom. I think I'm excited to see the movie. I'm excited to see what it's about, and I'm excited for all these dumb Twitter controversies to be over.
Well, I think they're just beginning.
I say that advisedly. I say that advisedly.
Yeah, Josh has been in some stuff the past 2 days. I know that for sure. So
Yes.
we won't go there. But dude, you deserve a break. I'll say that. You definitely deserve a break. So Carlos, I saw your response I saw your tweet at first, and it was kind of like this. Am I wrong reading that? Was that?
No, I'm firmly in the middle on this thing, man. I actually like the theatrical version of Justice League, the visuals aside. As far as the story they told, and leaving those characters from kind of the questionable general audience reception place that they were after BVS, to having them at the end of the theatrical version of Justice League, where they're all in a decent place for the next director to pick up the football and run with it, kind of thing. So, the movie has its charms, like the stuff like Superman racing the Flash and picking up the building and saving civilians. Like, it brought a smile to my face, and I enjoyed that stuff. But the killer for that movie is the visuals are pretty muddy and pretty amateur hour. So to see this trailer, it was pretty cool to see the Justice League in a refined, proper and professional looking movie. So we'll see what he brings, man. Like, I thought the trailer was cool. I'm in the middle on it, but like my daughter, she watched this thing like 4 or 5 times over the course of the day, and we were building a puzzle, and this DC playlist is playing all day, man. So it was like I had my very own Nico Crusoe sitting in my living room. Yeah, now I know how Daddy Bats feels. But yeah, man, like my hope for this thing has always been, I just want to see the Justice League done justice, and to be able to point to a film that's done well and we can kind of hold up to be in the DC version of the Avengers films. And at the end of the day, I'd lie where Josh and Pete do with, I just kind of want the discourse to be over once and for all. Like, it's, to be honest, that's what's tempered my excitement more than anything, is just like, just let people enjoy things, and just enjoy things without being mean-spirited about it. But yeah, we'll get into it. But I'm happy that I was invited to the conversation tonight, because it should be a banger.
I see you're wearing a shirt too, right?
Yeah, man. Well, I don't have any ZS on.
Right,
this
there's no
one,
ZS in that shirt.
and there's no associate producer on my back.
No,
Yeah.
I see someone else is wearing a shirt too, though, that does have that stuff.
Zed side.
Zed side. Dark Zeddy. Zednik is.
What do I have? Do I have it? No, I just have
No,
my Green
Lantern, Green Arrow. Which
Yeah.
I wish they were in the movie.
All right, so
they could be.
the family Caruso, your turn.
You start. You want me to start?
Yeah, you
okay. So I really love the trailer, because we were talking a little bit beforehand. This is probably the Justice League movie we should have got instead of the theatrical cut. So I'm big on continuity. I'm glad that we're getting this. We're getting more than we would have got a few years ago. I thought the trailer was interesting because it's the first time it kind of told a story and set the stakes. It made it look like there was a real threat and there was a real reason for Batman to form this team. Even in Zack's early trailers, we really didn't get that. And we're going to break the trailer down, but there were so many great moments in the trailer. The classic line from Alfred. Superman looks like maybe I have a little bit more hope from him in this movie than I thought. And of course, the ending. But visually, it was stunning. I love the fact that he used Eisenberg and Pa Kent, Kevin Costner. It just really resonated for me, guys. And it looks like it's going to be epic. It looks grand. And I'm all in for it. I'm really, really looking forward to it.
Yeah, this trailer was my Valentine today. It was the love of my life today. It made my day. It was awesome. The thing I took away the most from it is sort of like my dad said, is the stakes. It felt epic. It looked epic. It looks like the most epic thing to come out of the DCEU yet. And I got to give him credit for the visuals for that, because that's a big reason why. But also some of the stuff in there, I don't know, just got me excited. All the dark side stuff, all the apocalypse stuff, the visible Flash time travel stuff where he's coming up behind Cyborg, like that was not in the theatrical cut. I know we're going to get Flashpoint and stuff, but to me as a big Flash fan, I'm like, we're going to dive into all this stuff with the Speed Force that wasn't even existent back in 2017. So there's just some fun little cool DC things in there. And then of course the end I just thought was as Carlos would say, a banger, man. It went out with a banger. I'm just ready to talk specifics, but yeah, if you couldn't tell on Twitter today, I like this thing, and it was my Valentine. Zack Snyder is my Valentine today.
Yeah, don't think you're alone. I think a lot of people can probably say that today, and I'm sure one of them is your partner in crime, Mr. Zednick. Though, go ahead.
I have a Valentine other than Zack Snyder. Okay, let's just get that. Like,
I think you've got like 6 of them.
Let's get that out
live. This is live, Pete. Come on. Nah, look, I've seen this trailer multiple times. I've already talked about it. This will be my 3rd time, but I'm ready here. I've cried and I've gotten emotional every time I watch it because, say what you will about the theatrical. I'm glad that there's people that love it, but me personally, seeing that like as an adult with my parents, I told this story before. Like, it was like they needed to pull me out of just out of that theater because I never felt so disrespected as a DC fan than when I saw that Superman opening scene. The dialogue was great, but that presentation it completely turned me off, and it really set the stage for that whole movie. I mean, say what you will, and again, there are enjoyable parts about it, but this movie, for all intents and purposes, feels much more tonally and thematically in line with BVS, which is what I've wanted. Like, I'm somebody that loves Man of Steel and BVS, and I've also had a lot of investment into these characters. So regardless if I've loved these movies or I haven't, I've been invested. I wasn't invested in that theatrical cut, whatever that was. I'm invested into this because there's a lot of vindication to go around on this thing. So one boy in particular that maybe I'll get into, but yeah. Hype engine at 11, baby.
Yeah, I mean, I have to say that's probably the most emotional response I've heard to the trailer. So for you especially, I'm glad that you're getting what you want. Because I can honestly say that, like I said before, for me it was just kind of okay. Like, I expected what I got because I'm used to Zack Snyder's movies now, so I just expected it to be more of the same, and that's what I got. But let's just talk about the last 5 seconds right away. Like, I want to start with that. I don't care that it's whatever. I want to start with that. So I'll get the first person who I know didn't really care about it, Pete.
Yeah, dude, this is the real thing that really bummed me out the most. Like, I thought finally getting to see Leto's Joker and Affleck's Batman just interact would be like this thing I've always wanted. And it just kind of fell flat for me. Like, I actually missed the clean cut, Monte Carlo, just Colombian drug lord look that David Ayer gave him. Like, I kind of do. Like, I prefer that style. I love the undercut and the slick back, and just to see them all kind of just raggedy. Like, I get it all, like apocalyptian and everything, but it just, I don't know. It just didn't work with me. The smudged lipstick on the lips. Like, I was kind of bummed out by it. I thought it was cool. He was wearing the SWAT jacket. Is that like the same jacket he wore at the end of Suicide Squad when he like broke Harley out of jail? Like, are they continuing that continuity? Which is weird because like they messed with Ayer's movie as much as Snyder's. So it's like I don't feel like that's Ayer's original ending. So it just I don't know. It was the one thing that bugged me.
We have to see the front because it says Joker in the movie, and Suicide Squad it says Joker on it, so we have to see the front. But yeah, for me, like I said when we got the pictures earlier in the week, when we started getting the pictures of Leto's Joker, I said then I'm like, well, now that's the one thing I want to see. I'm hoping it's longer than just a 5-minute sequence, but I'm assuming that that's probably all we're gonna get.
I feel like that's got to be like a stinger at the end.
Yeah,
you know, I feel like I feel like the movie ends on that.
All right.
Oh man, I hope not.
Well, I hope not too, but who knows? We'll see what happens. So, Caruso's, were you expecting this to be him to be included?
I did. So with his tease last week, and then with the next set of pictures this week and the Vanity Fair article, I can tell they're trying to make sure as many eyes see this as possible. So Leto's Joker, I think, is going to become a big selling point, or they're going to use it as. So the minute we started seeing stuff, I'm like, he'll be in that Sunday trailer.
It's just like Suicide Squad, man.
Yeah, you gotta. This isn't like a traditional, theatrical release, nor does it have the audience where you can just put the things in the movie. You almost have to show your whole hand to get people to see it. So I was cool with it. So yes, I was expecting it. And in terms of how I respond to it I think it's awesome. I think it's awesome because their dynamic forever, no matter what context you put them in, is interesting to me, right? They're polar opposites. They're yin and yang. They counter each other. They exist because and for each other in a way. So knowing that they're going to continue the nightmare sequence thing, and we see that version of Batman, how he is now, to bring in a Joker who might counter him. And I don't know if you guys read the Vanity Fair article, and if anyone who hasn't, I don't want to spoil it, but the scene or the scenes, because I think there's two, the scenes between them are going to be more than just the Justice League film, quote unquote. They're going to be sort of analyzing each other and sort of what they've both become in this apocalyptic world. And that's exciting to me to see, because we saw what Batman sort of is, right? Which, is hit or miss for a lot of people, and rightfully so. I want to see what the Joker's like in this world, and I want to see how they interpret each other.
It's got like a Grant Morrison Arkham Asylum vibe.
Yeah,
definitely
a
does.
little bit,
So I'm pumped for that. If it ends on it, that might be a little awkward, but I don't know. I don't know. How about you?
Well, it's unusual because they're going to use the Joker. He's probably only in it for like 5 minutes or 6 minutes, but they're going to use it for him to market the film, right? But then I look at my daughter and my wife, who my wife really has no interest in the movie, but we just watched The Little Things. They're big Jared Leto fans. So when they saw that, they're like, oh, that's kind of cool. Yeah, we're going to watch that. And I'm like, well, he may only be in it for 5 minutes, but they're like, well, we'll watch it with you. We'll after you and Nick watch it.
Will Mommy Bats watch the whole 4 hours?
I doubt it. I doubt it. My daughter will. But I just thought when you heard Jared's voice, I thought it was really cool. His line. And then when he turns and he says Batman, I listen, it's Joker Batman. It's just it resonates with me. And I'll tell you what, just to give credit to Zack Snyder, this didn't have to be in the film, right? But yet he felt like that it would be an injustice to DC fans that Affleck's Batman and Leto's Joker never really met on the screen. So, he's so creative that he was able to come up with this, fit it in the format of the movie, and then still get them to interact. So to me, it's great. It's a big win for us DC fans, whether it's 5-6 minutes, however long it is. I'm pretty sure when it's all over, we'll all be talking and say that was kind of a memorable moment from the film.
I agree. Just really quickly, give a shout to Craig Harlow, who's in the chat, because he's across the pond and he's staying up to watch us. So it's very
awesome, man.
Very nice, man.
What time is it over there, by the way?
5 hours ahead. So
6-7 hours, something like that. Right?
2 in the morning or something.
Oh wow,
right? Something like that.
Big
So-
Spurs fan, Craig.
What's up, man?
All right, so really quick, we're talking about the last 5 seconds. Obviously, Batman and Leto's Joker. We've talked about Leto's Joker, but you don't see much of Batman. But he kind of does this turn and gives this like weird like look towards him. Carlos? Did you read anything into that as more than?
Yeah, like I kind of think that they're teaming up now, right? Like the whole thing, even the way the Joker's dressed, it kind of gave me that vibe of Sean Murphy's Batman White Knight.
Yeah.
Where
Good call.
Joker might actually be the more stable of the two of them at that point in time. So yeah, we'll see what it brings. I had to laugh at Snyder using the Joker meme and bringing it to life in the movie with the "we live in a
We
society"
live in a
thing.
society. Yeah.
So it's just like, you know what? Good on you, man. You called your shot, and people were going to criticize you no matter what you did. So, it's interesting, and I kind of think like my theory is that Batman has his team in the apocalypse, and
Right.
it's going to be
Resistance,
Joker and Deathstroke, and that's actually who I'm really looking forward to.
Yeah.
Is seeing Joe Manganiello back and doing his thing, and hopefully he takes off enough that we can get them to greenlight some kind of project with him, because it's like you can make a Deathstroke movie for less than you can make a John Wick movie at this point in time. Like,
I think
Definitely.
the cool thing about his character and about him with the character is he's really tried to get something done with it, right? Like he's done a lot of the work to get that done, and it just hasn't happened for numerous reasons. So I agree. If anyone else that we know is in the film that we didn't see today, I'm trying to think. Is there
Martian
anyone else?
Manhunter.
Martian
There you go.
Manhunter.
That's the one thing that we haven't seen anything
Mara.
of.
Mira's in the scene.
Yeah.
Mira's supposed to be in that last scene too. That's
She's
the team.
She's the team. Yeah. So
Tell them the team. What's the team supposed to be at the end?
it's Batman, Cyborg, Flash, Deathstroke, Mira, and Joker. I think is the 6.
I mean, come on. How cool is that?
that's pretty cool. I don't know.
No, I mean that part is cool.
I'm just bummed that we never really got a traditional showdown between the two of them. Like
Yeah.
between these two movies, we're gonna have 14 minutes of Leto Joker.
You're right.
Like we don't even get 20 minutes of this guy. Like I would love just a movie between the two of them instead of this. I feel like Leto's Joker is almost turned into like the MCU Hulk. Like he's just popped up randomly, and Superman as well. Like I would love for him to actually show up and get some movie time, but we'll see. I mean, I don't know how much time. It's 4 hours, so you gotta Superman's got to get resurrected at some point and do something.
Mhm.
He's got to be in this movie for at least 2 hours, right? You think like it's going to take him 2 hours to figure out how to get him back, or who knows? Maybe he comes back differently. I don't know. Maybe Darkseid resurrects him. I no clue.
well, I think so, and then he'll be bad and alienate all the fans, and
Because because if you look at their eyes in like this in the 1:15-second trailer and then Darkseid's, it's like they have the same eyes. So is that like the anti-life eye? Is that what I'm saying? Is that like does that mean you're possessed by anti-life?
I don't know, but you're right. When you mentioned that today, Pete, after it happened, and I didn't see it until you said it, and then I was like, oh, okay, that's true. So yeah, that's something also that.
But Darkseid looks dope as hell. Like
he does.
I
Darkseid
thought
does look pretty
and
cool.
to see Granny Goodness finally, like
Right.
that,
Granny.
she looked like it could have used a little bit more like render, but like I'm just happy to get Granny in a movie. Like I don't expect her to say anything. I just expect her to be in the background, but that was dope as all hell. And just like I've been kind of critical of Steppenwolf's design, but it worked on me a little bit in this trailer. I was like, this looks better than what I've seen previously. Just to see the emotion and that one scene where he's kneeling at the altar and you see his like stone face. You're like, oh wow, that's interesting. So it's like that's his armor like peels away. I thought it was cool. So I mean, there's been things that I thought have been improvements, but overall, I was just like, I really feel like I've moved on from this, and it's kind of a bummer for me personally.
You'll be there watching it.
I'll be there. Are you kidding me, dude? Like I'm putting Man of Steel on at 9:30. I'm gonna watch that 2.5 hours. I'm gonna put on BVS, watch that for 3 hours, and at 3 a.m. I'm watching Justice League. Like I'm going straight to the whole trilogy.
And you'll fall
Like,
asleep. No,
I'm not-
I don't know. I'm just.
I got enough coffee, but like you can't say I'm not going to give this thing a shot. It's just I don't know. I feel like I just cut my ties, and it's a bummer, especially as a DC fan. Like I've been defending Man of Steel and BVS for God knows how long, and just to finally get this Snyder cut and not really have any kind of like emotion towards it is kind of a bummer.
Now we do obviously the theatrical cut of Justice League doesn't really deal with the nightmare at all, the nightmare sequence, the nightmare storyline at all. It doesn't call back to that, but this movie obviously does. and there were some specific call outs to stuff we got in BVS. So just talk Zeddy real quick, just talk about that, like how we're now getting the end of that BVS arc.
See, that one I know is really controversial for people, but me personally, I kind of dig it because it's I think we really are going to get a whole side of like Batman and these characters that we've never seen before. And this does feel like it is very Batman centric. So I'm just getting behind this idea that Batman leads a group, that group fails. So now Batman's like on his own and now he has to rally up another group, but they're like the worst people possible. But he needs these people for something. So I'm just really behind that whole thing. And like you guys like just said, who would have thought that we would see Batman and the Joker teaming up in live action for something?
How much of that do you think we're going to get, though? Like, I can't imagine that's going to take a big chunk of the movie.
They got 4 hours to work with.
Compensation.
That's true.
So, but
Yeah, I don't think that's much. I think those are the scenes that he filmed. I think that's a few minutes. I really do. I don't.
Right?
I
That's
don't
what they
think-
said. It was 7 minutes. 70
Yeah,
million
I don't-
cost them
Yeah,
7
it wasn't.
million.
Yeah.
I think that's more in there for to tie out that scene and maybe be one of those things that plants the seed for something possibly going forward.
Mhm.
We don't want to get ahead of ourselves, but that's what I think that he did it for, no matter what they say.
Yep, I agree. So Josh, any scenes from the trailer that you really captured you? Like any one scene outside of the last 5 seconds? We talked about that already. Something else?
Yeah, well, Pete talked a little bit about it. I really loved the apocalypse scenes. I thought those were really cool. And the fact that we're going to get to see, I know there's a lot of controversy online about Jack Kirby fans, freaking out about the armor or whatever. It doesn't matter. I mean, it's an adaptation.
I don't know. It
looks
fits
really
with what he's
cool.
doing.
It fits with what he's doing, and it looks like Apocalypse to me. Like,
Mhm.
when you see it. So,
Well,
finally
and if we're being honest, those original Kirby designs, they're pretty dated. Like
I mean,
Steppenwolf with
Darkseid
his
was
little
wearing a
hat.
mini skirt with go-go boots. Come on.
Yes.
yeah.
I'm not going to
Totally.
insult the king, but let's be honest. Like, I don't have a problem with a warlord wearing armor. It just makes sense. No.
Yeah, totally. And the thing that I think the thing that's coming back is like the visuals. It's like, oh, that's really cool. That looks cool. Whereas with Marvel and the MCU, I kind of feel like I'm attached to those characters because we've gotten to know them so much over the years. And so that obviously not to compare the two, they're two totally different things. But like, what I'm just saying is that I feel like there's nothing really that captured me per se. It's like, oh, that looks cool. It's like, I had a bunch of those moments. That looks really cool. Wonder Woman jumping over Steppenwolf, doing that insane flip thing that she's doing. That's really cool. Batman chilling out on the Frank Miller bat tank.
Dude,
That looks really cool.
That was awesome. Yes.
That's
all
so
of those
great.
things. I think that it's like, it looks really cool. Am I emotionally attached to these characters? Like, and that something that struck me. Sorry if I'm going on. Please
No, go
interrupt
ahead.
me if I'm going on forever and ever and ever. But it seems to be implied, and obviously we'll have to wait until the actual film comes out, that Superman's death and like his cry is the bell that's been rung.
That might have been my favorite part of the trailer, to be honest with you. Just
It's-
watching those sound waves go.
It's really cool visually, and the visual of the Amazon like temple falling and all of that sort of thing was really cool. I think though that like, okay, narratively, and this is where Zack Snyder always falls a little bit short for me. Superman's been Superman for 3 years, right? If we're being generous with the timeline, like it's probably a lot shorter than that. Darkseid and Steppenwolf didn't think to invade Earth before that. They're gonna have to connect those dots narratively because that's a huge plot hole for me. you know.
There's got to be some. They probably felt the presence though of a Kryptonian, right? Like or some kind of like. I remember back in the day there was those trailers. You know, there's no Kryptonians, no lanterns. So maybe there should have been some sort of lantern presence that is no longer there. Maybe there's no power battery, and that's how I'm thinking. Like there's no kind of like there's nothing to really intimidate them. So there's got to be some sort of essence of Kryptonian DNA or something that a new god can feel. So then when you finally hear, like, I don't know, like Eric's stupid Star Wars reference, like something's wrong in the Force. Like, there's got to be like something in there. And then the dark side.
Why got to be Eric's stupid Star Wars reference? Why?
Because I don't like Star Wars too. I don't. You're the Star Wars guy here. Like I would imagine something like that.
Don't fault my friend.
I mean, okay, all right.
That's a great point too.
It is really a good point though. Yes.
How I interpret it though is, I think the presence of a Kryptonian is what keeps them away, and I don't know if, like Josh said, they might have to bridge some continuity. But if you remember in the Ultimate Edition, Lex contacts Steppenwolf on the ship. So I don't know if maybe they didn't know about Earth and he alerts them and is like, oh, Superman's dead, or he might not know Superman's dead at that point, but maybe he gets their awareness. And then when they put their focus on it and then here Superman's dead, it is a lot to try to piece together. I also think the Soundwave thing might be new. That's just me. I think that might be a new thing.
You think so? You think that was additional?
Because it was the mother box, right? It was the mother box that in the theatrical cut? Because
in the early trailers, there's one of him dying too, like the Fandom one, and we didn't have that. Now maybe that's something he always intended and he just needed to do it in post, but
right.
I almost wonder if that's new. It's cool anyway. And like Josh said, hopefully it works narratively. He tries, and sometimes he tries to put in small things and he just goes, understand it. You know what I mean? But I also wonder if that was new, because when that struck me first, I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah, that was interesting. Yep.
That's cool. But I don't know if, I think this was new. I don't know.
One of the big things that people who aren't in this space and who aren't as well versed in this stuff as we are, the general audience, that's been a big problem with all of these movies. With BVS and now with Justice League, even the theatrical cut, some people were like, I have no idea like what what any of this is. So it's gonna be on us again, I think, to spread the word if this is good.
Well, here's the thing, man. When you talk about spreading the word, I think this movie's got a small window. I think it really does, because you literally the next day drops. You got Falcon and Winter Soldier, and that has got brand loyalty across the world.
Yeah,
people universally love the MCU and love what those two guys bring to the table. And then a week later, you have the fandom uniting with Kong versus Godzilla, whereas the fandom split MCU, DC, EU, and then everyone wants to watch these two kaiju fight. I don't think the movie has enough time to gain traction, because I think everyone's ADD is going to kick in. And the next best thing happens the next day. And then a week later, you've got Kong vs. Godzilla, and you've got a new episode of Falcon and Winter Soldier. I don't think this movie has a lot of time to catch fire.
You're probably right. But again, it's still, whatever happens to it, if we want people to watch it, or if you guys want people to watch it, I'm sorry, you're gonna have to get it out there and tell people, no, it's really good, really good, really good. And
in 4 hours, man, like it's gonna be hard for I still haven't watched The Irishman.
Oh, very good movie. But and if you guys want more from this universe, because I know there's a lot of rumors out there about what's going to happen afterwards, that might be the way it has to get done too. Now, someone in the chat, Frank, said this. So, do you guys have any comments on his comment?
I agree with everything you said, and I would love either of those shows to come out of it, particularly the Joker one. I think the Joker, I always says Batman and the Joker says, I've always said It's long,
How much have you had to drink so
What's
far?
in that coffee cup, dude?
It's water and green tea. Well, water and green tea.
Yeah, looks like Di Serono.
It could be. Oh yeah, Cubs. 2016 World Series
Boo! I'm just kidding.
champion. The Joker and Batman sells, right? I'm still a firm believer that the Joker film from Todd Phillips made $1 billion because people were like, "Oh, that's the Joker origin story." Then you went and saw it. You felt the way you did after. It was something else. But so I think the Joker will always sell, and I still think the Joker is what made 2016 Suicide Squad do as well as it did from the box office standpoint. Because once again, it's the Joker.
Yeah.
Jared Leto also got Golden Globe and SAG nominations. I don't know how. No disrespect. I don't know how. And then he had a whole Vanity Fair article about his Joker. So whether
Did
that
he get
was
any Zeddy Award nomination?
Snyder's, he did not get any Zeddy Award nominations. He did not, and he will not for at least the role of him and his role in The Little Thing. So I think the Joker is the most likely thing you see come out of this thing.
I just think a cyborg show would be too expensive. Those totally
a lot of money.
CGI, the main character just to be totally CGI, that's going to be a pretty penny. I think that's why in Doom Patrol he's always wearing clothes.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, and let's be honest, there's some stuff that would have to be done for that to happen anyway. There's some situations that would have to be hashed out.
Well, if it's HBO Max, remember Ray said he won't work with Hamada, so he's done it Warner Brothers.
Yeah,
whoever's in charge of HBO might give it a go.
I still think he's in charge of what goes on HBO Max, but he doesn't have a final say. It's a weird dynamic with him, but he's still involved enough to where I think that would still be an issue for Ray Fisher, based on what we know, based on what he says. But
yeah,
I would agree. I think in light of this, it would be hard for me to sit here tonight and tell you, unless this thing is gangbusters and their subscriptions go through the roof,
which they will,
that you're going to see a JL2. But I could see a couple projects springboard out of this, specifically a Joker with Jared Leto. Jared Leto's made no secret that he loved working with Zack Snyder, and he has really championed this thing. He's been on social media
more than anyone,
sharing the posters, retweeting.
But even Snyder said recently, like, Warner's not interested. I'm busy. Like, Snyder's kind of bowed out a little bit. So I don't know if this will happen with him. Maybe would he be a producer? Possibly.
I think it could still happen on the Max, though. That's the thing. I don't think Zach's going to turn down an opportunity if it's the right opportunity.
Might not be for a while.
It may not be for a while, right?
I mean, his zombie movie goes gangbusters. I could see him popping off a couple of those.
Yeah.
Which I'm excited for as well.
Yeah, I mean,
I am too. I'm excited for that.
But if this thing is half as successful as maybe we think it could be, or I don't know, man. There's still going to be a movement there. There's still going to be in the ears of Jason and HBO. This is going to be so interesting to see what happens going forward. It really is. Because remember one thing, guys, HBO Max needs content. They need content.
Well, that's why this got made to begin with.
That's what I mean.
So
so I mean, if it does well enough and they announce a couple things coming out of it, I mean, what do we have? We have the Peacemaker coming out in January, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's a year away. I mean, they don't.
Nobody knows about that yet, to be honest. Though, like Suicide Squad's
we don't even have a trailer.
Yeah.
Where's the trailer? It comes out in like 6 months or whatever, and we still don't. We haven't even seen anything.
I mean, we got the trailer for Kong and Godzilla like a week ago, and that comes out next month. So when it comes to the streaming stuff, they're taking their time with these trailers.
Absolutely.
But they even did in the past for like was it Wonder Woman? Was the first Wonder Woman? No, Shazam, maybe? I remember the Shazam trailer came out really close to the release of the movie. So
but then, like, I think back to BVS, and I remember hearing stories that Warner Brothers was worried about BVS, so then they started going trailer crazy. And then they released the warehouse fight. So they released like the quote unquote all the cool stuff to be like, oh, this is the movie. There's gonna be more stuff like this. And then it was divisive as hell. So I don't know. Like I didn't personally need another trailer myself. Like I was gonna watch this thing anyway. So the first trailer, the Hallelujah trailer, was all I really needed. But I mean, I hear rumors that they're going to do another one, and I don't want them to go crazy. Like I want to actually watch the movie. I know there's 4 hours worth of film, but I don't want to see all the cool stuff in trailers. I want something like the Leto thing for me. I get why they released it, but I would have liked to have been surprised and see him in the movie. Like I wouldn't even wanted the Vanity Fair article or the photos, but like, again, like I know what they're doing. The Joker sells, like Nico said, you need him out there to get the normal people, not me, not the insane psychos who sit here and have action figures hanging on their wall. You know, they want the general audience to pay attention to this. So I get what they're doing.
I think the other thing too with trailers is like there's just so much in the zeitgeist now. Like Disney Plus is selling you stuff, and Netflix is selling you stuff, and there's just so much out there that you need to have your trailers close to when you're dropping your product so that people don't forget about it.
Because, yeah, dude, ADD is real.
Yeah, there's just so many things. So, and if you're going to be spending money on trailers and whatnot, I think you're going to play things close to the vest and just release them within a week or two of forcing people to pick up the phone and sign up for your service. So,
and it's just like Disney Plus is like 96 million subscribers, and I think HBO Max is like 37. So, like, I'm interested to see, like, as we get closer, is that number going to rise? I'd love to find out. Like, I want to know how many people signed up for Wonder Woman 84. Like, was that something that drove up the subscriptions?
It did. It did. Yeah. Nico, do you want to talk? You muted yourself. Oh.
No.
I think he farted.
Really quick, Carlos. We have a sports question for you.
For me?
Yes.
Are they going to trade Bennett? I think they'll hang on to him until we get a little closer to playoffs and other teams get desperate.
Nice.
But there you go, Emmett.
Yeah.
Nice.
That question came from the Big Grizz.
Big
I had a
Go ahead, Josh.
I had a on the topic of like continuations. I had a conversation today with somebody, and they were talking about how one of the issues you run into with continuations is the fact that all of these guys have become huge stars. I mean, Gal Gadot is probably the biggest star right now in Hollywood, like bar none. Everybody wants her and everything. And so the scheduling, and Warner Brothers wants a Wonder Woman 3 before they want a JL2. So a way that you could do follow-ups, I think, and let Zack finish his story, because I think that would be the most satisfying thing, even more so. I mean, I would love a Ben Affleck Batman series if we could get one.
Totally.
But I think the most satisfying thing would be to see this resolved. And a way that you could do it, Zack has experience in really great CG animation. And I think if Warner
He's
Brothers...
got a show coming out, right?
I think so. I think his zombie movie has spinoffs coming out. I think one's with Jason Momoa, actually, if I remember correctly. I might be wrong about that. But I think that if HBO Max went to Zack and said, hey, we're going to give you $100 million to finish your Justice League arc, and we can do it, doing it CG and animation cuts out the need for the actors to all be in the same place at the same time. It would be really an epic way to end his series. And I mean, talk about, I know for years, Batman on Film has talked about a CG Justice League film, how cool that would be from Warner Brothers. So that would sort of alleviate all of that, and we'd get this really cool Elseworlds tale, because I think honestly the wheels are in motion. Zack Snyder's story, Zack Snyder's involvement in Justice League is done, and Warner Brothers is going in a different direction. So,
well, he did have conversations with DC Comics about having his story continue in like monthly books at one point. So maybe that'll get picked up as well. I'd be interested in seeing that myself,
Yeah. So anyway, that was a thing. People weren't satisfied with that answer. They were like, it needs to be live action.
When have people ever been satisfied? Let's be honest.
Zeddy, are you trying to tell us you want to talk? Go ahead, man. Say what you have to say.
Yeah, so look, as much as I would love a Batfleck series or a Joker series, I'm in the camp that I think Henry Cavill's future more or less really rides on this film more than all of those guys, because they all got to live on. Henry Cavill was the one that had to stay in this bubble of uncertainty, because he was the one that didn't want this to come out originally, right? Whereas now he kind of hit a 180, and now he's really banking on this idea that people are going to love this movie, and they're really going to cry out to him to come back. I'm in the camp that I think a Superman series on HBO Max with kind of maybe Snyder executive producing, I think is actually the key out of this.
You think they're going to do that when they have a Superman and Lois show, CW,
Yeah.
like coming out within like 2 weeks?
I do. Because I think,
That's
at
interesting.
least for right now, I think his schedule is just so busy that I think personally, I think it's easier to get him for a TV series than it would be for a feature film. And I'm not kind of underestimating this medium of storytelling with television right now, where it's, I think with WandaVision and Falcon and Winter Soldier and The Mandalorian, I actually would much rather see a 6-episode Superman series with Henry Cavill than a 2-hour film, to be quite honest.
He's in a rough spot, man, because his face is the marquee of the most divisive time of the DC brand, right? Like Ben Affleck has the mask, and Gal Gadot, like, everything she's touched has been gold. But yeah, Henry's face is kind of the thing that's been attached to everything that people either very much love or very much hate. So
Then they have destroyed it in Justice League.
yeah, well, yeah, ironically, that became the flag of how terrible the theatrical cut was, right?
And he's
But then again, like he didn't even participate in the reshoots. Like they couldn't agree to terms. He didn't really. I felt like they just couldn't agree to anything. And if he really wanted to do it, I feel like he would have. I mean, even Ray Fisher, who has his problems with Warner Brothers and Warner Media, like he even participated in this. So I find that interesting. I don't know. Like I don't know if Henry Cavill even really wants to do it anymore.
I don't know, man. He seems to, every time someone brings Superman up, he seems to light up and likes talking about it. So I do think that he would, if he could do something with the character. I just think he wants to do it his way. Like I remember when they were talking about him coming back, and that was kind of one of the things. Like that was one of the hangups where he had an idea that he wanted to run with, and the studio was kind of like, no, we don't want to. We're gonna have.
And then he tried to get his Mission Impossible director involved as well, right?
Yes,
McQuarrie, yeah,
which would be awesome.
Yeah,
and even if it was JJ, go ahead, let's see what you got, JJ Abrams. Let's do a Superman film. I mean, I would love to see something because I think everyone generally agrees that we like him as Superman. So, I
think Warner Brothers is clueless when it comes to Superman. They're clueless of how successful that franchise could be if they could get it right. And there are so many instances of it being right. And apparently, according to early reviews, Superman and Lois is another example of Superman being done right. And striking that balance between modern and goodness. I actually saw a really great suggestion today. I don't know if you guys have seen Ted Lasso on Apple TV.
Have you seen
it? It is phenomenal. Such a great show. But it oozes with like goodness and like lack of cynicism. And it's just like a delightful show. And somebody suggested today, taking a page out of Marvel's playbook, why not hire the guy who created Ted Lasso and say, hey, here's a property, pair him with J.J. Abrams, and, try to get this like modern version of Superman that's true to the goodness of the character. I think you would see, like, Warner Brothers would see a huge, massive franchise if they could get that right.
It's weird to me how Superman seems to really just gravitate towards success on television, from the old George Reeves show to even Lois and Clark, and now it seems like Superman and Lois. But outside of like 78, it hasn't really resonated on the big screen, and it's almost kind of baffling. Like, they even screwed up Superman 2 for the most part. Like, I know a lot of people love it, and Eric loves it, but like, there's a whole bunch of drama and craziness that ensued with that movie as well. Yeah. So it's like Superman on the silver screen has been more, I feel, more negative than positive.
Yeah, overall, if you go into the history of it, like, Pete, we did on that episode we did of Straight Outta Gotham, we talked about the history with Superman 2, and obviously Christopher Reeves passing away, and there's just been a lot of negativity around the character, even with George Reeves too. There's a lot way back in the history of the character. It just seems to always be a problem point. So I don't know. I mean, we haven't even gotten Brainiac.
I'm so fed up with Lex Luthor, man. I wish we get. I don't care if it's Parasite or Metallo or whoever. Just I'm tired of Lex Luthor as the villain.
They always gravitate towards Lex Luthor and Zod for some reason.
Yeah,
it's like cinematically they can't get past those two villains, and like, I don't know. It's funny because
we've had two great Zods.
Yeah, Wonder Woman was a character who didn't, like, a lot of writers had a hard time with, in comics. And after Gal Gadot played her, it gave her dimension, and like now every comic book writer wants Wonder Woman to be the lead character in their story. Dark Knight's Metal, I'm reading it right now on the DC Universe Infinite app. And
Plug.
Wonder, it's great. Wonder Woman is the lead character in that book. And so, you know, a lot of people say Superman's Rogues Gallery sucks compared to like Batman's. They haven't been given opportunities on screen, and we saw some great, I mean, say what you will about Smallville and the cheese and all of that sort of thing. I don't know if you guys remember, but they did an arc with Doomsday that was really terrific, and they made Doomsday beyond just kind of the Hulk ripoff that he was in the comics, and it added so much dimension to the character. So you can imagine that, you know, taking somebody like Parasite as an example.
I'm dying for Parasite.
So much potential to be really, really cool on screen.
And it was done really cool in Man of Tomorrow, that animated movie that just came out recently.
Yeah, like any filmmaker that takes on Superman, please do not touch Lex. I mean, make Lex Luthor a constant presence, I guess, but don't like make him the default villain or General Zod. We've seen it, you know.
Or real estate. Stay away from the real estate scams.
It's crazy. Like, say what you want, man, but Supergirl on CW really nailed Lex Luthor. Like John Cryer might actually be the best live action Lex Luthor we've ever seen. And I know the Smallville people won't appreciate that, but that's how I feel.
Well, Superman, it's like I almost feel like they should watch the Bruce Timm animated series and just break it into chunks and do movies of that, because it's done beautifully, and he goes through every single villain and builds naturally to the Fourth World stuff. So like the blueprints are there if they want to do it. It's just a matter of committing, getting somebody that you can trust, collaborating with them, and just executing, right? Like that's, I think Warner Brothers approaches these things, and it's like, we have the character, people will go and they'll buy it without putting any more thought into it other than that. And that's why you end up in these situations, right? So
I think
it just all goes back to they have no Kevin Feige. I mean, they don't have one single person, one point person that can direct this thing. And that's the problem, because you guys are so right. How is Superman not greenlit? It doesn't make any sense to me. It's frustrating. It's Marvel's world right now. We're living in it. And to me, the only way that they can compete is start getting everything together, release the content, but do it the way the fans want. And it's really frustrating, Pete. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
It seemed like they tried to do that with Snyder, though, but then they, you know, took the carpet out from under his feet. Like either you trust the guy or don't. Like one thing or the other. Like don't half-ass it and chop. Like they chopped up BVS too. Let's not forget they cut out 30 minutes of that movie.
They did.
And you know, and then Justice League, they did what they did. So it's like either you give the guy control or you don't. Like let him finish out his vision. If he had a 5-film mark, I mean, if after two, I mean, they gave him 3 movies. If after 2 movies, it wasn't doing them, then just give the guy the axe and just move on. Like Warner Brothers is to blame here. Like whatever side you're on, they should have
100%
said, "Hey man, look, all right, this isn't working. We're going another direction," or just let them finish it out.
Yeah, at least the old regime.
Yes.
So definitely to blame.
So Nick, one encouraging thing that I read is that, so you have Walter Hamada, but I guess Ann Sarnoff is very much focused on making DC like the pillar of their business and making sure that things work over multiple platforms. And then James Gunn actually publicly offered himself to be part of that group. So I think between Hamada, Sarnoff, you could do something special. And like Doctor Who, like people forget it's been around forever, but it wasn't a thing until she started working on it. And it was like, hey, we have this small fan base here. Let's see what we can turn this into. And like for a while there, it was one of the hottest brands on the planet. And she left, and it's kind of fading away. So I think they got a diamond there. So hopefully maybe they can have their own trinity there with Hamada, Gunn, and Sarnoff.
Didn't they give Gunn the option of Superman or Suicide Squad, and he turned down Superman? Like think about that. They offered a direct, and Gunn's a good director. Like he's creative. Like I love Slither. That's my favorite Gunn movie. The guy turned down Superman.
Well,
That's
but
insane to me.
He did Burn Bright, right? What was the movie he did though?
He did, yeah. He did that bad. That I guess that's the evil Superman we all can agree on.
That was a
Yeah.
good. I like
Yeah,
that movie.
that was crazy.
I don't know. Maybe I'm
But, like,
alone
he-
in that boat.
You
but
like
I
the
did
movie?
like that. I
Traditional.
did. Yeah.
Yeah.
I liked it.
It's
but
not
in
I-
fairness, like he didn't turn it down. They said, "What do you want to do?"
Yeah.
And his passion was with Suicide Squad, right?
Mhm.
Which you can kind of see in those trailers.
Yeah.
So, and I think that's the way you do it, right? It's like Ava DuVernay. They wanted her to be attached to their brand, and she wanted to do New Gods. So
Oh
that's
man,
what
I'd
she's
love to see
doing.
what she comes up with.
Warner Brothers issue is that, and I'm an aspiring filmmaker, so watch this come and bite me in the butt later. But Warner Brothers issue is that they are they put way too much trust in individual directors,
Yeah.
and they don't
But it's a
hold
director
leashes at all.
studio.
It's a
Traditionally,
director-driven studio. There's a group of executives at Warner Brothers who would prefer to be Searchlight Pictures or A24 and produce Christopher Nolan and Clint Eastwood movies all day long.
Yes. Yes.
That's that. But the thing that I was noticing is Wonder Woman 1984. A lot of the Zack Snyder sort of people I want to blame Jeff Johns for the outcome of that film. I guarantee you, everything that we don't like about that movie is probably more Patty. And I say this respectfully because Patty Jenkins has publicly talked about how much the Superman movies made an imprint on her as a director. And that is that's the style that she was kind of going for.
there's a lot of Superman 2 in that movie.
Yep.
I guarantee you that Jeff was the one probably going, hey, this is some Wonder Woman character that we can feed into your idea. This is how we can make this work. So, pairing people, and it doesn't have to be Jeff Johns. I mean, James Gunn is more than capable and knowledgeable about these characters to do it as well. But like having somebody like that who can come alongside talented filmmakers with vision and say, hey, here's how you can make your vision for this work in a way that creates a cohesive universe. I think that's
I think the biggest problem with that is like you're telling a creative person, well, we've got this other creative guy who knows this stuff better than you. And it's like, well, you hired me to do this job. So why am I not allowed to do it? Why are you bringing in this, quote unquote comic book guy? I mean, it's been that way forever. Like, you're telling filmmakers that this guy knows different, and he can claim he does because he's written these amazing books, but like, he hasn't made a movie. He's not a Hollywood dude.
At the same time, that's what Marvel does to great success, right? Like
right, exactly.
all roads go through Kevin Feige. So like Josh made a beautiful point that they're a filmmaker driven studio, and that's what they've always been. And I think with DC, they're just having this identity crisis where it's like they want to grow this IP, but maintain that filmmaker first identity. And honestly, I don't feel that you can. I truly don't.
It boggles my mind how you can claim to be the filmmaker studio, but then you butcher BVS and Suicide Squad and Justice League. Like,
but that's because they're trying to manage IP, right? Like you're trying to serve two
trying to
masters. I think they need to just decide, and maybe you don't go after a Zack Snyder or Patty Jenkins for DC movies, and you go after the John Watts, because that guy is.
Or maybe you just don't try to connect. I remember Nolan saying, make movies. Don't try to connect them. Just make good movies. And Warner Brothers just tries to put the cart before the horse. And I think Carlos said it earlier. Like they're like, oh, this is Superman. You'll see it. We can put out crap and you'll go watch it. Oh, it's the Justice League. We'll put out a shit movie and you'll go see it. Oh, it's Batman vs Superman. You guys have been begging for this. Here you go. Like,
well, that opening weekend,
they don't build up to it.
I think Warner Brothers has to, if they want to be that filmmaker driven studio and make a bunch of independent movies. The end credit scenes in the more recent DC movies are perfect examples of this. I mean, it's like Aquaman. You had the biggest DC movie ever released in December of 2018 in Aquaman, and the end credit scene is setting up for Aquaman 2 that's coming out in 4 years. And they had Shazam coming out in April. It's like there has to be some thread if you want to create the momentum that Marvel has for these movies. So you Carlos is absolutely right. You've got to choose one or the other. You can't try and do both and have it both ways. And I think that's I would personally be okay with either. I would love to see just a bunch of like disconnected, really cool filmmaker driven pieces based on these characters, and let the filmmakers use what they want. But you're not going to get the box office that Marvel has, or the place in the cultural zeitgeist that Marvel has, because everything's connected and it's telling one big story. I mean, I'm going to be honest with you guys. I'm more excited for next week's WandaVision than I am for Zack Snyder's Justice League. I'm just going to be absolutely real.
That's fair. That's a great
because there's
I think the majority feels that way, Josh, to be brutally honest. Yeah. But
Yeah.
I think when the Batman comes out, I think that's going to be the end of the world. Like everyone's going to unite because that's the big gun. Like I'm not lying. Like I think the Batman is going to break records and be this crazy movie. It just has this feeling for me about it, and I just think they've got to make good movies. I don't care if they make a shared universe or singular movies. I just want good movies, and the MCU has made everything they do this event. And I don't know if that's because it's a shared universe or just because everyone just seems to enjoy them. And there's movies that they make that I don't like, but universally those movies are praised and everyone enjoys them. Like when's the last bad MCU movie that has come out like in the public eye? What is it? Iron Man 2? Like let's be honest,
Marvel.
I mean, you could say what you want. More people like Captain Marvel than not. It made $1 billion, and it's got like a 90 on Rotten Tomatoes. So what the hell do I know?
Yeah.
Right.
But that's the thing, though, with doing the connected universe is that rising tide lifts all ships. Like
Yep.
Captain Marvel did phenomenally well.
That's exactly it.
Because they teased it in Infinity War.
Yep.
And people felt that they had to watch that movie to understand what was going to happen in Endgame.
And I think that the other thing about Captain Marvel too is, even though I think Carol Danvers as a character isn't my favorite character and I think it's hilarious on a meta level in WandaVision, unrelated, that they're kind of like they're kind of digging on Carol Danvers a bit through the WandaVision show. It seems like she's Monica not really disliked. Yeah. She's really disliked in universe, but I think that everything else about that movie was awesome. Samuel L. Jackson was awesome. The 90s sort of action movie thing.
That was my favorite part of it. The 90s
blockbuster.
Yeah, the 90s blockbuster was
you
awesome.
Hear Nirvana?
Yeah, it was great. So that's, Marvel can take like elements that aren't that great and make them a lot of fun.
I think in the back of DC's mind, they know they always have Batman. And I think that kind of plays like, okay, if we don't do well, we could put out a kick-ass Batman movie and everything will be forgiven, right?
Yeah,
like,
Baby S is a cause and effect of that. Like Man of Steel didn't do as well as they did. So what they do? We're going to put Batman in it. Yeah, I think that's the problem. Like it's like I don't trust Batman with you people.
I know we're going off on tangents, but that's what we do here on Straight Outta Gotham. So we can continue going this way.
I want Nico to say something. I could tell he's been licking his lips. He's got a lot to say, but he hasn't said anything. Speak up, young buck.
No. I'm just thinking though, it's so sad they have to keep relying on Batman. That
they do it in comics too. McFarlane Toys does it as well.
Exactly. But it's also frustrating because I think it's going to get delayed again. So the fact that we're not even getting that movie till 2022, it's like, as excited for the Batman as I am, what are you going to fill the gap with prior? You know what I mean? Like, we need these other things to start being established and announced and to generate hype, because just waiting for the Batman film in 2022 for him to save us again has become boring to me. As excited I am for that movie, that trailer's awesome. I watch it once a week, but man, it's a year plus away.
I know.
It's
probably going to be June, right?
It's probably going to go back now to June 2022. Right. So we got Snyder Cut, and then we got Suicide Squad, we got Peacemaker, but then it's like, wow, more, please.
And they're really not officially announcing things. There's been little fragments of the GC, the Gotham City Police. Where's Green Lantern at? Where are these major?
Green Lantern has been in trouble since Ryan Reynolds. It's been 10 years already. That's why I'm worried about another Justice League film. Like we were talking off air, Daddy Bats, and I think 10 years, because it's taken them 10 years to even try to attempt a Green Lantern thing. Like the original Green Lantern movie was supposed to come out 2 years ago?
Yep.
Yeah, but like Rick Famuyiwa's
Yeah.
Flash, like I think they were supposed to come out in like the same year. It's been taking them forever to get that off the ground.
Could maybe Flashpoint is the beginning of everything. I don't know. Maybe that movie is the
I think they're
movie
waiting for that one.
that they're waiting and
But even in that movie, they're relying on Batman to save it. Like Keaton's
Yeah.
coming back.
Yeah.
That's the big thing.
Two Batman. Yeah, they're really. You're right.
You know,
And Pete and I talked about this on the last Straight Outta Gotham. Like I even said that in the CW there was supposed to be a Green Lantern spinoff with the John Diggle character from
Yeah.
Arrow taking over the reins, and we still haven't heard about that either. So that's one character who got one shot, failed, it bombed, and they're like, we're not going back to that. We're not going back for whatever reason.
like imagine if like the MCU stopped after like Iron Man 2. Like they just kept chugging, man. Like imagine like if Fox stopped after X-Men 3 and we never got to like Days of Future Past or Logan or First Class. Like Warner Brothers is so reactionary and they get so nervous. They get so nervous. It drives me nuts.
If Kevin Feige took over Green Lantern, I guarantee you it would be one of the biggest franchises. There's so many, they can explore so much with that franchise.
It could be their answer to
There's
Star
so
Wars.
many characters. It's absolutely, it's superhero Star Wars.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, we're still sitting here and
I,
we have no idea.
I think it's unquestionable that DC could be even more epic than Marvel. They have more epic characters,
Yeah.
but they're not willing to do the work to kind of build up to those. Like the DC event,
But they're willing to do it for Kong and Godzilla. Like they'll give them solo movies before they build up to that. But DC, we got to put everything all in at once. It's very interesting stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
It is. That these are, I would say that more people know DC character, or did anyway, before the MCU anyway. More people definitely knew the DC library of characters than they knew the Marvel ones. I mean, Iron Man was a B-level character.
Dude, they didn't have their A-list characters. They
You know?
didn't have Spider-Man.
Exactly. And
It's crazy to me.
they were smart with their casting because everyone knew Robert Downey Jr. So bam,
They did
you
a
have
great job.
someone. Right. That's what really got everyone involved. And then,
Feige went through hell to get to heaven, man. Like he went through those Daredevil movies. He went through those Punisher movies. He went through those Fantastic Four movies. Like he learned his lesson early, and then he built this empire. And it's phenomenal to watch just someone like that evolve into literally, this godlike figure amongst fanboys because he earned his keep. You can't deny that.
Yeah. Well, DC just needs to listen to the advice that he gave them, which is trust the material and trust the characters. And honestly, that's been their problem with everything, is everything that hasn't worked out very well is when they don't trust the material and trust the characters. Like BVS, the biggest problem is so much of it is predicated on one version of Batman from 1986. Like,
he's right. 100%
Can't argue
correct.
with you.
Yeah,
I can't argue with you.
I've got to run after this, guys, but I 100% agree with Feige's point about trusting the characters. And something that I said a few weeks ago on Twitter was that I'm really like at Warner Brothers. It seems like it's all about the director's take on a character, whereas at Marvel, it's like, hey, let's bring this character to life cinematically. And that's the distinction. And it's like with Matt Reeves, as much as I'm anticipating the Batman, and I'm really looking forward to that. I'm really looking forward to the Gotham TV series. It's a take on Batman. It's not trying to make a definitive cinematic version of Batman in the same way that Marvel does with its characters.
yeah.
So
Amen.
it's like
I can't say that their take on Spider-Man's definitive though.
Oh, I mean, I personally
We almost made it. We almost made it.
Just saying. I got
I
the Italians for
know.
Spidey with me. I can't let that one
I
go.
know, I know.
Coalition.
Hey, but we're all gonna get our favorite Spider-Man on film
In one
a
movie,
couple-
yes.
Damn right.
Yeah, we are.
Yeah.
All right,
That's
guys.
funny.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thanks
I
for
gotta
coming on,
go.
Josh.
Everybody, take
Later,
care.
Josh.
Take care, Josh.
Okay.
All right. We lost one.
Hey, I mean, it's Valentine's Day. He's got a hot date. What do you want me to do? I'm just glad he was able to spare some time.
I think it's because you brought up Italians for Spidey, and just like, I'm out. I'm out.
Oh yeah, we almost got through the show without bringing up Spider-Man. I knew Captain Marvel.
I
was
got
gonna
tired of
come
talking
up.
about Captain Marvel. Give me a break.
All right, guys. So let's bring everything back. Let's come back now to what we came here for. Let's go all the way back. So we have the trailer now. The show comes out in about a month, or the movie, sorry, comes out in about a month. Here's a little off the wall question. What's your plan to watch it? We heard Pete's plan. All right. So Carlos, what's your plan?
You know what? It's gonna be a Saturday watch for me. Kids in school, and it's like the hype train starts with my oldest daughter is by far the person most excited in our house, and my wife is kind of shoulder to shoulder with her. I'm a step below, and my youngest is like, if Tom Holland's not in this, I'm not wasting my time. So, yeah, but with like just school and activities and stuff, we've decided to do Friday. They've got the day off, and the wife's taking the day off, and I think I will too. And that'll be our afternoon event. So, depending on what the reviews are like Thursday, we might watch Falcon and Winter Soldier before or use it as the chaser after. But yeah, that's our plan.
All right, so Caruso's, you guys love this thing, want to see this thing, so I'm expecting a big event. So how are we doing this?
Well, making
I gotta wait. My son's making me wait.
Well, hold on. So I work Thursday, but I'm taking off Friday. So we're playing around with doing Man of Steel Tuesday, BVS Wednesday, Justice League Thursday, and then just enjoying it on enjoying that day off Friday and either doing a rewatch, etc., or taking one out of Mr. Vera's bucket on Thursday night, doing all three to kind of carry us into Friday. That could be fun too.
Yeah,
I'm not
that
sure.
could be fun. Sure.
Not sure. So one of those two, but it will be viewed before noon Friday.
Oh yeah,
Has to be.
absolutely. We have to.
We'll get some sauce ready for it. And,
Yeah. I mean, I'm gonna watch Justice League on Wednesday.
We're gonna have wine. We're gonna have wine for the event. Is this a wine event?
it will probably whiskey.
Whiskey. Okay.
Whiskey in case it's bad.
Oh man, you're gonna drink a lot of whiskey.
Oh,
I mean,
All
it's
right,
4 hours, man. It's a lot to sip on.
Zeddy, what's your plan? How are you gonna ingest this thing?
Work knows that I got some PTO lined up. So here's what it's gonna be. I'm gonna watch it on Thursday. I'm gonna watch it without Papa Daddy, without Papa Z, Senior, that is. And then I'm gonna watch it when he gets home, but I'm gonna pretend like I never seen it yet.
Oh wow.
There you go.
Smart man.
Sorry, yeah. Unfortunately, I'm not following the Caruso model because I can't resist late at night. So, Pete,
I
my
don't think
man,
Daddy
I'm
Bats
gonna be
is over.
DMing you at 4 a.m, Pete. Just
4 in the
be on the
dude,
lookout.
4 in the morning. The movie's gonna end at like 6 a.m. When you kidding me?
That's true.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Wow. 7
6 a.m.
Jesus.
Yeah, let's do
Yeah.
it.
Whew.
There you
I
go.
don't know how I'm gonna watch it. I'm not in a rush, but I kind of am because I know everyone else is gonna watch it. So
Yeah, come on. We're all going to talk about it, right? Probably on Friday night. So
I can't imagine we don't have a show on Friday.
yeah, I mean, my God,
oh man, you guys.
we don't want to fall behind, right, Pete? We have to be current.
That's for
and
sure.
sharp. Yep.
That's for sure. I guess I will. Maybe I'll just get up in the morning and throw it on when I get up.
There you
I'll
go.
just throw it on, watch it, have my
Yeah.
eggs, maybe a Bloody Mary or two.
That sounds fantastic.
Or 5.
That does
A
sound
Bloody
glorious.
Mary and some eggs sound absolutely wonderful.
Sounds
to
like a
watch
great-
the film.
That sounds like
Yeah.
a great combination.
yeah,
Really
the
does.
straight out of Nightmare Gotham breakfast.
Oh, that's awesome.
Chris in the chat brought this up. We didn't talk about this, but this was one of the parts of the trailer.
Oh, no,
that was actually a very cool part of
Don't
the
do
trailer.
that. Don't do
So,
that.
I'm
Don't do
sorry.
that.
Yeah, I did. I actually got, to be honest, like I really got into the whole Kevin Costner monologue there.
Yeah.
I was
Yeah,
like,
me
that really, touched back to Man of Steel as well. And I was like, wow, that's cool. And I guess we can call this the second flight,
Flight
like
2.0.
Flight 2.0. Yeah.
Yep.
So I'm excited for that. I mean, and that's like one of the things I am pumped for is just like this does feel like a Snyder movie. The other movie felt like someone trying to make a Snyder movie, but this does feel like his, and he should be allowed to finish the story he started to tell. Like I've always said that from day one. So like I am excited that he will have his moments to do that stuff.
What I'm excited for you guys, for everyone who wants to see this, is like I said before, you're gonna get as much of a closing arc to BVS that you can.
Yep.
Obviously, we know the original intent was for it to be 2 films, so who knows what we're gonna get, how this one's gonna end. But I think a lot of the good things about this trailer was it did go back to Man of Steel, and you did have callbacks to stuff that you had, you know, and I think that's an excellent job by Zack because he's reminding people of that. Like this, don't forget these two movies came out a long time ago, so now he's bringing this all back to people, and trying to connect the dots. And that's the thing about the trailer that I will say was successful. I think it was a very successful trailer. Like I said, I'm not that into it, so it's not something I was looking for. But for you guys, I definitely hope that not only the trailer hit the mark for you, as you guys said it did, but that the movie does itself. Because that's I said to myself, don't be mean on this show, Eric.
Thank you.
Very nice of you, Eric.
Be nice. So just closing thoughts, guys. We'll shut it down. Just give us some closing thoughts.
You know what I want to do? I just want to pay credit to one thing in the trailer. Is Alfred, Jeremy Irons.
Yes.
I think he's outstanding. And his line about if you're going to take on the big bull, you know, with the big red cape or whatever, but I would almost enjoy seeing a HBO Max spinoff series with Jeremy Irons as Alfred. I think he's that interesting and that dynamic. I just think he's the best one we've ever seen.
His daily life.
I just think you could. He's cool. He looks cool. He's savvy. He's tech savvy. He's sarcastic.
Well, he's a great actor.
I just really love him in that role, and that was like a shining moment for me out of the trailer. I
loved him in Watchmen.
Yeah.
Oh God, he was so good in Watchmen. Good in Watchmen. So I just wanted to bring Alfred's name, Jeremy Irons. I know he's watching, he's listening. So
he's a big fan of ours. What else are you gonna watch in Gotham other than Straight Outta Gotham?
Exactly.
Closing thoughts for me is I'm just really excited. I hope it's great. I hope I enjoyed a lot, and I hope it feels worth it. We were never like crazy a part of the movement, but I always tried to retweet it. I always said I want to see it. Anytime he threw up a photo or anything, I was excited. Anytime he did an interview, when he did his he did like his own personal film festival a couple of years ago, and then he talked about SnyderCon. So all the lead up, I've been into it, and I just hope I can go, yes, that is what I wanted, and I'm happy with it. That's all I want.
All right, Carlos.
Go Carlos.
Yeah, man. For me, my biggest thing is I just want these characters to shine. And if we come out of that release weekend and there's a redemption arc for everybody, if Snyder has a film that people universally embrace, if the characters come off looking like rock stars and people are excited for more, that's my dream. Like, you don't have to do anything for me personally. Like, I don't have any wish lists, but I just want the Justice League to come out looking awesome. Yeah. Hopefully this movie has what we call in our podcast the Winter Soldier effect, where it makes everything before it start looking better. Yeah. If it does that, man, this will be the greatest success that Warner Brothers could hope for from this project. And on a side note, Nico, I think your dad needs to have one of those leather aprons like Jeremy Irons. Father's Day, man, this year.
I'm gonna look into it. Look into it.
I wonder if that's hard to clean when you're cooking.
The leather one. Oh, it's hilarious.
All right, Pete, you're up.
I always root for DC movies. I'm never gonna, or TV shows or whatever. I will never root against them. I think I'm excited to see this just for the fact that we've been arguing about it for years. So I'm dying to see what all the hype's about, and I'm happy for those who have fought for this and are finally getting it. So, congratulations. And I'm looking forward to seeing it. I can't wait till I have my own little, Snyder marathon fest and I just watch all three back to back to back. I'm really excited for it. I can't wait. I haven't revisited Man of Steel and BVS in a while,
right? Which
for me is probably a month. So, I'm excited to watch them. And, just again, I want to see, and the fun part for me is the compare and contrast. I got my my Art of Justice League book, and I was looking at it earlier today, just getting look at old photos and set designs and stuff like that, and comparing it to whatever. And I can't wait to try to put all that stuff together in my head, and that's the fun part of me. So, hey, look, we got 2 movies out of this one Justice League event, so that's cool for me. I just hope it's good, and that, like Carlos, it creates more buzz, and people want to see more DC stuff.
All right, and Zeddy, bring us home.
Yeah, I've already accepted that this is an Elseworlds take. of a Justice League movie. So I just hope that everybody that's really a part of this movie feels vindicated, and that whether or not it lives on or it doesn't, that everybody gets the solace that they deserve. And then this is where I challenge people, because like when you're criticizing CGI or acting performances, this is a movie that we never thought we were going to ever see. So where I challenge people that is just go into that and remember that it's a movie we never thought we would see. It's a blessing in itself. So if we get sequels, great. I'm all in. If we don't, we saw it. I'm vindicated. That the extra cut is wiped away. And all I'll say is, that there's more than one house on a cul-de-sac. So there you go.
Well, don't wipe it away, Zeddy. You can show it to your kids when they're like 4.
That's true. That's true.
It does have
Even
its
though-
place.
Yeah, that's true.
Sure.
So that's a very, very good point. So
Sure.
anything you guys want to plug? Now's the time. So
Go ahead. Plug your
Follow
show.
us at the Vigilante 1939 on Twitter. We have a show coming up tomorrow where we talk about this very topic in WandaVision as well. I have film and TV reviews for the Let's Go podcast. I do a video game show with the Big Grizz. Shout out to Epic David called Let's Go Gamers. And then Zeddy and I have a TV and film podcast called Let's Go Marquee. Do you want me to plug it for you? Because
Please,
you know how to
yes.
verbalize it. It's fine. This guy to my right was the first guest on, once again, the Big Grizz, Emmett Davis, his
Yeah.
new show called Let's Go Now You Know, which is an interview style show where you learn about how people got into this wonderful world and this wonderful community of characters. So he was the first guest on that. Was that right?
That's right. I was.
Shout out Daddy Bats.
It was
doing
very
that.
humbling,
That's
very
awesome.
nice. And the Big Grizz was one of the best hosts you could ever possibly have. So, and don't forget to watch our Snyder Cut podcast.
Oh,
that was the
we-
last one,
I
right?
forgot about that. Yeah.
Yeah.
We also on the Let's Go podcast YouTube page, or you can find it on our Twitter or our podcast feed as well. We interviewed Sean O'Connell of Cinema Blend, who wrote the Release the Snyder Cut book. It was a lot of fun. He offered some insight into it and just some things about the film industry as a whole. And he's currently working on a book about Spider-Man
That's going
in
to be
film.
interesting. Yeah.
And he teases that a little bit at the end of the show. So that's really cool.
That was a
And
good
that's
interview.
something to look
Thank
forward
you.
for. Thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
I'm in.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Carlos, what's going on with the Nerd Room?
Well, you can find me as the fourth mic on the Nerd Room podcast. We don't pump out nearly as much content as these fellas here, but yeah, we got our weekly show on Thursdays, and we're dabbling in the video game space a bit with the Nerd Room Arcade. But yeah, you can follow me on Twitter, Canadian Cape Crusader, or the show at the Nerd RM, and yeah, give us a listen if you liked what I brought today. There's more of that, and we do Marvel, Star Wars, DC, and everything else in between. Lots of collecting talk and lots of these guys too. So
Yeah. Well, Pete, you have a lot going on in Two Worlds, so go ahead, knock it all out.
I mean, it's hard to follow the bat chin that is Carlos. But, you can follow me on social media. That's Twitter, Instagram, and Zack Snyder's favorite Vero at Pete Illustrated. Please follow our show handles, Straight Outta Gotham, straight_O_G on both Instagram and Twitter. Read my reviews of Detective Comics, Dark Detective. I've got Funko Pop reviews on Batman on Film YouTube and BatmanOnFilm.com. Action figures and all kinds of good stuff there. And you can follow our show as well on Facebook in a group called Straight Outta Gotham and a Facebook page, Straight Outta Gotham. So we're trying to expand and grow and do more content here, some SOG Tonight, some Iceberg Lounges. I want to annoy you guys as much as possible. So please click the like and subscribe button so you know when we're going to do this stuff, and you can just join in on the conversation.
Yeah, Pete, you also did a show with BOF today, right? The
Oh yeah,
social
that's
hour?
right. I've been whoring myself out, just trying to reach everybody. So yeah, I did a show with the old cowboy himself, Bill Jet Ramey, and the host of the Batman Book Club, Ryan Lauer, where we discussed this very same topic, that is Zack Snyder's Justice League.
All right, you guys can check that out there. So as Pete said, we're gonna have a lot of content coming, having to do with Zack Snyder's Justice League and our normal stuff. We definitely want to get more people on from the community. So if you are watching this and you are in this space and you want to be on any of our shows,
Yeah, Chris
Guys-
Evans.
yeah, Chris Evans, definitely give us a shout. Let us know. My Twitter handle is right there on the screen. It's at finally33. You can hit me up there. Of course, like Pete said, we have our Facebook pages. You can email us at straightogpodcast@gmail.com. You check us, hit us up there if you have any questions, comments, concerns. We also have our rate and review contest on iTunes and Apple Podcasts. So if you go and rate and review one of our shows, we will read it. We will pick one that we like. We will read it, and you will win a prize pack.
That's monthly, by the way.
Yes, that is a monthly event. So I have all this great content coming for you guys. I want to thank all of my guests, the Vigilante 1939 crew, all three of you, Carlos from the Nerd Room, of course, my partner in crime, Peter Vera. I am Eric Holzman. This is SOG Tonight. We'll see you next time.
Booyah.
Oh yeah.
We live in a society.